Symfony, interview questions and answers. Beginner means advanced. Introduction. Symfony is an open-source PHP web framework developed by Sensio Labs. Symfony is widely used for web applications, REST APIs, enterprise systems, microservices, backend development, e-commerce platforms. Symfony provides check reusable components, check MVC architecture, check dependency injection, check routing system, check security framework. 1 to 20. Symfony basics. What is Symfony? Symfony is a PHP web application framework. What language does Symfony use? PHP. Modular architecture, reusable components, scalability, enterprise support. What architecture pattern does Symfony use? MVC, Model View Controller. Class, Model, View, Controller. What is controller in Symfony? Handles incoming HTTP requests. Controller example, class, user controller. What is route in Symfony? URL mapping to controller actions. Route example, route, users. What is request object? Represents incoming HTTP request. What is response object? Represents outgoing HTTP response. What is Symfony Flex? Dependency and project automation tool. What is Composer? PHP dependency manager. Install Symfony project example. Composer create project Symfony/skeleton app. What is bundle in Symfony? Reusable package, module, core application bootstrap component. What is environment in Symfony? Plus dev, plus prod, plus test. What is configuration in Symfony? Application settings management. What is YAML in Symfony? Common configuration format. YAML example, framework, secret key. 21 to 40. Routing, controllers and templates. What is routing system? Maps URLs to controllers. Route parameter example, route, user/ID. What is route annotation attribute? Metadata-based route configuration. What is dependency injection? Providing dependencies externally. Why use dependency injection? Loose coupling, easier testing. Service injection example, public function _ construct. User service. What is service container? Stores and manages services. What is auto-wiring? Automatic dependency injection resolution. What is Twig? Symfony templating engine. Twig template example, user name. What is template inheritance? Twig extends example, %extends base.html.twig. What is rendering in Symfony? Returning HTML output. Render example, return $/render. What is redirect response? Redirecting user to another route. Redirect example, return this $redirect to route. What is session in Symfony? User-specific server-side storage. What is flash message? Temporary session notification. Flash message example, $add flash success saved. What is HTTP method restriction? Methods, post. 41 to 70. Doctrine ORM, security and APIs. What is Doctrine ORM? Object relational mapper for Symfony. What is entity in Doctrine? PHP object mapped to database table. Entity example, #ORM #entity. What is repository in Doctrine? Data access layer for entities. What is migration in Symfony? Database schema version management. Migration command example, PHP bin console, Doctrine migrations migrate. What is entity manager? Manages database operations. Persist example, $entity manager persist user. Flush example, $entity manager flush. What is validation in Symfony? Ensuring data correctness. Validation example, assert not blank. Framework for handling forms. What is CSRF protection? Prevents cross-site request forgery attacks. What is authentication? Verifying user identity. What is authorization? Controlling access permissions. What is firewall in Symfony security? Security protection configuration. Security config example, security, firewalls. What is password hashing? Secure password storage mechanism. What is voter in Symfony? Fine-grained authorization logic. What is API platform? Symfony-based API framework. What is serializer component? Converts objects to JSON XML. JSON response example. Return $this JSON data. What is REST API in Symfony? HTTP-based backend service. What is middleware event listener? Request response processing extension. What is event dispatcher? Event-driven communication mechanism. What is subscriber in Symfony? Listener handling framework events. What is cache component? Performance optimization system. What is messenger component? Asynchronous message processing framework. What is queue processing? Background task execution. What is async processing? Call. Email sending? Call. Notifications? Call. Jobs 71 to 100. Advanced Symfony concepts. What is Symfony console? CLI framework for commands. Console command example. PHP bin console. User-defined CLI operation. What is environment variable in Symfony? Externalized configuration value. .env example. Database URL, MySQL, /. What is monologue? Logging library used in Symfony. What is profiler in Symfony? Debugging and performance analysis tool. What is web debug toolbar? Browser debugging toolbar. What is HTTP cache? Response caching system. What is reverse proxy caching? Caching responses at proxy layer. What is lazy loading in Doctrine? Loading related data only when needed. What is N+1 query problem? Excessive database queries due to lazy loading. How prevent N+1 queries? Check eager loading. Joins. What is API authentication? Check JWT. Check OAuth2. What is JWT in Symfony? Token-based authentication. What is testing in Symfony? KPH unit, functional tests. Functional test example. Client request get s. What is Docker support in Symfony? Containerized deployment. What is microservice architecture? Small, independently deployable services. Common Symfony interview topics? Check routing. Check doctrine. Check services. Security. Dependency injection. Common Symfony problems? Check. Circular dependencies. Check. Slow queries. Check. Cache issues. Best practices in Symfony? Use dependency injection. Separate business logic. Optimize doctrine queries. Symfony is more enterprise/modular. Laravel, simpler for rapid development. What is reusable Symfony component? Independent framework package, usable standalone. Common reusable Symfony components? Console, HTTP foundation, serializer. What is event-driven architecture in Symfony? Components communicate using events. How to become strong in Symfony? Capital build APIs, master doctrine, understand services deeply. Biggest Symfony interview concept? Dependency injection and modular architecture. Key Symfony interview focus. Routing, Doctrine ORM, services, security, and scalable backend design. Why is Symfony popular? Enterprise-grade PHP framework with modular reusable architecture and strong ecosystem. Symfony interviews focus on click, MVC architecture. Click, routing and controllers. Click, Twig templates. Click, Doctrine ORM. Click, dependency injection. Symfony security. Click, REST APIs. Event-driven architecture. Key idea. Strong Symfony developers understand scalable PHP backend architecture, dependency injection, ORM optimization, and secure enterprise application development.